Talked about Paulie and Artem, and I said, like, I'm all in. This was fun. I liked it. It felt organic. I'm okay with it. BKFC needs something to jumpstart them. Great. But now I'm almost mad at that because it feels like it led to all of this, right? Last night. How do you feel about what happened yesterday between Artem and Paulie? Do you feel like it was fun, it was organic, or do you think it was contrived and you're rolling your eyes at it?
Oh, is it okay to say both?
Okay, fair enough.
I think it was contrived. I do think it was contrived, and I did roll my eyes when I saw it, but it's also fun. It's harmless, and it's the best thing that could happen for both of their careers, quite frankly. I mean, if Paulie wants to fight, which clearly he does, he signed a deal with Bare Knuckle, and he wants to fight Artem, we can do that, and we can all laugh at it and look at it for what it is, and that's fine, and kudos to both guys for generating interest in it, and for creating that type of moment. There's nothing wrong with that.
How did you feel about the Artem Lobov, Paulie Malignaggi altercation yesterday?
I loved it.
Okay.
It brought a smile to my face. First of all, Artem is the man.
Yes.
He is our GOAT. He is the MMA GOAT. He forever will be the MMA GOAT. And the funny thing? I totally forgot he was fighting Jason Knight this weekend.
Okay.
Anyone that doesn't really know what's going on and who's fighting in the main event of BKFC this weekend, you would think that it's Paulie Malignaggi and Artem Lobov.
Okay, so that brings up a great point. So BKFC 5 is this weekend in Biloxi. It's Artem Lobov against Jason Knight, former UFC fighter, which is fun in its own right.
Yeah.
But all the talk, all the buzz, all the hype, the incident yesterday is Artem and Paulie. This leads me to feel like something bad is going to happen, and they want to book that fight for June 20th. And Artem told me on Monday, regardless of what happens this weekend, of course I'm going to win, but regardless of what happens, I'm still fighting that guy June 20th. Why would you risk it, right? Just save Artem for June, right? I doubt Paulie could have fought this soon because he just came out of retirement and he only signed like a month ago. Just save him. Don't risk it, right? You want Artem making his BKFC debut, Paulie, a boxing great, making his BKFC against each other, not Jason Knight first. This is a mistake.
100% agree. They could have easily a few weeks ago just decided to call an audible and change things around for this particular event. But man, how do you not do that? How do you not save that fight? Because that's what everyone's talking about. That video yesterday went viral. There's obviously a lot of history there with, Artem's relationship with Conor and the sparring session from last year and who they are representing, MMA versus boxing, all that good stuff, right? And look, anything can happen in 2 months. A lot of things can go wrong. You got to strike while the iron is hot, as they say. What if Artem loses this weekend? What if he's got an injury? I don't know, a multitude. What if Paulie gets cold feet or says, actually, I'm out, I don't want to do it. So many things can happen and deviate off this path. It was so great yesterday. Again, like I said, everyone would think that they're fighting this weekend. There wasn't anything of mention when it comes to Jason Knight yesterday. Nothing. All I was seeing was people talk about Paulie and Artem, and there was I think 50...
Jason Knight wasn't even there.
Exactly.
He wasn't even at the media day.
Which is another misstep.
Yes.
At least have him there to get the rub from the media that we're attending, right? And then can we just give a shout out to Anthony Rumble Johnson first of all?
That was actually my next point.
Oh my God. And this guy, first of all, he looks like a super heavyweight, let alone a heavyweight. I mean, this guy is swole.
I didn't notice him at first.
Right.
He's there holding back Paulie, wearing a backpack, one arm holding it back, the other arm is holding, the other hand is holding his cell phone. I mean, you talk about World Star, it was like straight out of that. I don't even know what he's filming at this point. I have not seen his footage come out yet, but it was great.
Yeah.
His presence there was phenomenal.
Yeah.
If he's like the new enforcer at BKFC, he'll never fight for them, but if he's just that guy who gets in between the face-offs, I actually think it's a pretty good role for Rumble Johnson, the super heavyweight.
Yeah. What a great cameo.
Yes.
With all these videos going viral. He looks so hench.
Yes.
I mean, goodness gracious me. I mean, imagine if he was to, return to the sport.
Oh my.
I don't think he's ever making 205 ever again.
But I saw a lot of people roll their eyes, and I saw a lot of people say it was fake. I actually felt like it was real. I thought it was legit. Like the slap, I watched it several times. It looked legit. I actually get a kick out of Paulie's trash talk. He cracks me up. I don't know why. I was not tired of him leading into the Mayweather fight. I thought he was a fun character. He was a new wrinkle, and I'm not tired of him now. I have to be honest. I know a lot of people are going to get mad, but I was eating it up. Like his line, that was a B slap for a B. I mean, that was great stuff. That was great. I love Paulie's brand. And then the stuff that he was saying is like, for boxing, I'm going to do this for boxing. You're going to disrespect boxing. That's a great angle right there.
Yes.
Phenomenal.
So I was really tired of Paulie in the lead up to the Maymack fight.
Right.
Because he was going after Conor, and it was just too much. It was every single day, and it was just like chewing up my timeline to the point where I think I unfollowed him. I just couldn't handle it anymore on Twitter anymore, right? But because enough time has passed, and this isn't tweets, this is him and his personality shining through in person, I thought it was magic from the Magic Man. It was just brilliant. It was brilliant stuff. I thought enough time has now passed where he hasn't been overexposed to myself anyway. And I think it's been a while. I think people forget he was always a charismatic boxer, in his time. He knows how to play the game, hype up fights. I don't think that slap and that whole kind of scuffle was staged. I think everyone involved thought that they would just do a face-off, and that face-off enough would be enough to actually kind of go viral and, slowly and subtly just build towards their eventual fight in June. But then, when Paulie did that and slapped him and then just went off on the camera, it was perfect.
How do you feel about BKFC, bare knuckle fighting?
Not a fan personally, if I'm being honest. Doesn't really do anything for me. I'm gonna wish them, all the luck and success in the world, but yeah, I don't know. It's just
it's a little much, right? It's hard for me to watch.
Yeah,
and I know people say like, oh, it's fighting, like don't be a wuss. Bare knuckle. It just seems much. It seems a little too gruesome for me. It's a little gory.
I think also I love MMA so much. Yeah. It's actually hard for me to like any other combat sport. And like I enjoy the odd boxing match, especially when it's like a big global event. But I don't, watch, just jiu-jitsu.
Right.
I don't watch just karate or taekwondo or kickboxing tournaments. I was never really into glory personally, right? Even though, some fantastic highlight reel knockouts and it's fun, but I love MMA so much, that's what I want to see all the time, and not just a segment of mixed martial arts in another fashion, so to speak.
I find it interesting that it seems like the boxing world doesn't pay much attention to BKFC, and it seems like the MMA world, MMA media covers it more than the boxing media, when in reality, it's much more like boxing than it is MMA. It's essentially a boxing match. There's modified rules, but it's essentially a boxing match with no gloves.
Yeah, and maybe that's because a lot of MMA fighters are
it's a weird thing.
So it's kind of
I wonder why that is. Like why they've tried to tap into the MMA fighters / MMA fan base as opposed to trying to get more Paulie Malinaggis. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like there's the Beck Rawlings of the world. There's Artem Lobov, Jason Knight. They've had a bunch. What was it? Tony Lopez. Like they've had a bunch throughout their first 4 events. But there's not a lot of recognizable boxing names. And I don't know what that says about us or our fan base or our media. Like I don't think like as an MMA media member, like I don't think this is my story. Like Artem being there is our story, but like to just cover BKFC 2, that's not an MMA story in my opinion. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think more about it, and I think maybe perhaps BKFC have gone after a lot of MMA fighters because there's maybe more of them and they can kind of get that leverage of ex-UFC fighter, and they can kind of spin that with some pub and some PR love. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think that'd be a good question to actually ask.
You go out of your way to watch Paulie versus Artem?
I will.
Will you go out of your way to watch Artem versus Jason Knight?
No.
And there you go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a mistake.
Yeah. Mostly because I'll be
you'll be
at the Barclays Center watching NXT.
But just in general.
Yeah.
But just in general, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's transition to that. Friday's NXT.
Yeah, so sorry. Friday's NXT. Saturday is the ROH New Japan show at MSG.
Right.
And then Sunday is WrestleMania at MetLife Stadium.
This is an incredible thing.
Yeah.
And it actually reminds me of something that was brought up earlier this week. UFC officially announced International Fight Week is just going to be one event. And I said, it felt like over the past few years it was overkill. I felt like, forget about the 3 events. The 3 events were just killer. And especially when they would do like UFC 189. Remember, the Sunday after 189 was Stephen Thompson against Jake Ellenberger. And at that point, you just have a headache. You feel like you've stayed at the party way too long. It's one thing to go Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's another to go Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like you can't follow up an event the magnitude of UFC 189 with Stephen Thompson, like a tough finale. That's just crazy. And I said it was overkill, and some people were mad. Like, what do you mean it's overkill? And what I meant by that was the UFC as a brand doing the same show